Danielle, welcome back to Forum Daily. Always great having you on the show.
My pleasure.
So what are the top concerns of people in Western Canada this election?
I think the overriding concern is what the policy is going to be around energy development and the transformation of the energy sector. The federal Liberals launched a consultation they're calling the Just Transition. And when they did that before for coal workers, what it meant is no more jobs in the coal industry. And so I think there's a great deal of fear and anxiety that that's what they have in mind for the energy sector as well, that this is really just the beginning of a process to completely phase out fossil fuels. And I must tell you, I mean, I talk to business leaders all the time, people in the energy sector all the time. They are prepared to take on the net zero challenge. Yeah, I was just at a conference last week, and that was the theme of the presentations. It was the race to net zero. How do we get there in our sector faster than anywhere else? And so I think that message isn't getting through very clearly in Eastern Canada, and I don't know that it's getting through very clearly to the federal Liberals. But I think that is a major theme and a major concern that the West has.
And I know the energy sector contributes a lot to the economy in Western Canada. So what are the major economic concerns of people in Western Canada in particular, Danielle?
Well, I think that there's a sense that Alberta wants to be part of the solution, and it's not just Alberta that benefits from a vibrant energy sector. I know it's often believed that the auto industry is the biggest economic driver. It's not. The energy sector is by a long shot, not only for our own economic activity, but also for exports. And so when you've got all of those energy companies paying corporate taxes, hiring high-paid workers, they're paying federal income taxes, they're spending money, they're paying GST, that benefits the federal government too. And so for the entire country to get out of the COVID mess that we're in and the $600 billion of debt that's been racked up and the ongoing deficits, it needs everybody pulling together. And it needs Alberta, a strong Alberta and a strong energy industry moving in that same direction. We're just simply not going to get any of our economic needs met if we don't end up acting as a country. And that's what I think that's what I'm hearing, is that unfortunately campaigns should be about where we find our common ground. And I think there's this danger that this particular election is not unifying, that is creating more division. And we'll find out after the election, because Alberta is going to be having an equalization referendum, a referendum to end the practice of equalization enshrined in the Constitution. And I think depending on how this election goes, if Alberta doesn't feel like their contribution is being valued, I think what you're going to see is that referendum is going to get a pretty high level of endorsement, which again isn't the greatest for national unity and a national discussion. But I think it's up to the federal politicians now to set the tone.
And this plays into the issue of Western alienation as well. So what are some ways that federal leaders of all political stripes can address this issue in particular, Western alienation?
Well, I think it all comes down to, I think Alberta feels like it's a bit of an outlier when it comes to the environmental issues. And I don't think it should be. I mean, when you look at where all the political parties are in agreement on the issue of pricing carbon, everybody just feels like we should do it a different way. You know, I had a conversation in the last couple of weeks with somebody who's in the business of creating carbon credits. And her analysis was that Alberta could be net zero by 2027. Now imagine that if Alberta has the ability, because of our ability to move to geothermal and hydrogen and carbon capture utilization and storage, to get to net zero faster than anyone else in the country, then we don't actually have that much to disagree with. It's just a matter of how do we work together to get to that end. And if we can find a solution on the environmental issues, find a solution that will allow us to all benefit from a growing economy and a growing and expanding energy sector, then we can have a discussion about how do we pay for existing social programs or expanded social programs. But I think we all have to come to an agreement on the fact that Alberta has a right to exist and Alberta has a right to continue to have well-paying jobs in the energy sector. And I'm just not sure that we have that agreement yet.